The following is a paid program sponsored by Soul D'licious. Please be advised that the voices and opinions you hear do not necessarily represent the views of KUNV Las Vegas, the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, or the Board of Regents of the Nevada System of Higher Education.
Hello, Las Vegas, and welcome to this segment of Soul D'licious Infused. Now welcome your host.
Good morning, Las Vegas, and welcome to Soul D'licious Infused, where we discuss all things cannabis in Las Vegas, every Saturday at 7:30 a.m. on KUNV 91.5 FM. I'm your host, Benjamin Bay, founder of Soul D'licious Seasonings. Our co-host is Stephanie Magurno, COO of THC Productions. This morning, Stephanie, who we got on our show today?
Good morning, Ben. We've got a great show for you today. We are interviewing Frank Hawkins, the owner of Nevada Wellness Center.
Wow, yeah, he's big.
Yeah, he's also a former running back for the Raiders and a Vegas native. Good morning, Frank. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
We're doing great. We're excited to talk to you today.
We sure are.
Yeah. And I wanted to start out, in case some of our listeners aren't aware, you were born and raised in Las Vegas before going on to play for the Raiders as a running back for 7 years. And that included playing in Super Bowl 43. And you then came back
Super
home.
Bowl 18.
18.
Super Bowl 18.
Oh,
18.
Super Bowl 18. Okay. It's a lot like 43. Only different. So you then came back home and served as the first Black elected official in Las Vegas with a position on the city council. And you now build affordable homes in low-income neighborhoods like the one that you grew up in, and you serve as the president of the Las Vegas branch of the NAACP. And, on top of all of that, in between things, you run your dispensary, Nevada Wellness Center.
All of that.
Yes.
That's quite a lot.
Yes.
He reads a lot, too.
I must admit, I've retired from the NAACP some years ago, and the new president, Roxanne McCoy, is doing a great job.
Yeah.
But I do continue to build affordable housing in Las Vegas, all over the valley, because there's such a huge need. But my new passion, as you stated, is the marijuana business, marijuana dispensary, which we have been in for some 5+ years, and seeing the transition from medical to now recreation. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But, yeah, no, I appreciate all the accolades from before, and all seem to be true. And I'm glad to be with you guys and talk all things cannabis.
We're glad to have you, Frank. We sure are.
Yeah. Well, definitely. How did you get into cannabis? You said that it's your new passion. How did you stumble upon it?
So one of the guys I recruited to attend University of Nevada, Reno, and play football, Andre Rhodes, who's also a local guy.
Yeah,
His mother and father mother was in a fire, house fire, and people died, and she lost some limbs, and he came to me 6 years ago and said, hey, the state of Nevada is going to issue dispensary licenses. And I said, there's no way, man. Nevada's going to do any marijuana. This is the Mississippi of the West.
Yeah.
Never going to happen. And he gave me some bills. And he said, well, read these. These are in the legislature. So I finally got around to it a few weeks later and took it on the airplane with me. And then I started calling people to find out if, in fact, it was going to be true. And legislators said, yeah, we're just working on the final touches, and there's going to be a process, an application process, and Nevada's going to be introduced to medical marijuana, which they already had been, but not to the scale that they were talking about.
Gotcha.
And subsequently, applications came out, and we applied, Andre, myself, and a Dr. Luther Mack, who was my mentor,
Dr. Luke,
out of Reno, Nevada. And we won and were the first and only, to my knowledge, African-American Black-owned dispensary in the entire state.
Yep.
Wow. Well, that's impressive.
That's why we're trying to be a first too, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And what were any hurdles or obstacles that you faced in that process of getting that dispensary license and then getting it open?
Well, I thought since California was the Mecca that I would go over to California where I had some contacts And I did, and we went from San Francisco to Los Angeles, all the way to Sacramento, and came back. And after about 2 months of working on it, somebody said, well, you know, California is like the Wild Wild West. Nothing they do there is legal. If you want to study what's legal, you need to go to Colorado or Arizona. And I'm like, what? So we started calling around, and sure be it, California is and still is the Wild Wild West, even though they're trying to be compliant.
Right.
But so we went to Colorado and met people and talked to some people in Arizona, and finally got our application ready. And when the time came, we put in our application, and we scored, and we're proud to say we scored the highest score in the city of Las Vegas. So,
That's
and
impressive.
then we were the first dispensary to open in the city of Las Vegas as well, and the largest.
Yes.
I did not realize that you guys were the first.
First, yes.
That's great.
Yep.
And you
Yep.
mentioned that you're the only black-owned dispensary in
Fully black owned.
in the States, to your knowledge. Why do you think that is? Like, why is there such an underrepresentation of people of color in the cannabis industry?
Well, I think if you understand the capitalistic system, first thing you got to have is capital.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that the average person or a little bit above average person may not have. The second thing you got to have is resources. It's another thing most people don't have. And the third and most important thing, I think, is you have to understand the system. And the system is built so that, you know, folks fail or they can't pass through. And I think we were at the right place at the right time. We had the money. We had the knowledge. We'd done our homework. I'd spent 6 months, 7, 8 months before researching what a dispensary was, what it needed to be. It was all about compliance, and you had to have previous business experience. You had to have a minimum of $250,000 liquid, which eliminated most people of color,
Absolutely.
and I would say black
Yes.
people.
Most definitely.
They wanted financial statements, and I shouldn't paint with a broad brush, but a lot of people don't have that. They wanted bank statements, they wanted proof of income, and then they wanted business history, business experience.
Wow, that's a lot.
And a lot of people may not have those, along with just you needed a location, which that costs money. So I'm in the real estate business. I'm a developer, general contractor, and property manager. So all of the things you needed a building, I was able to go out and acquire. I have experience working with the local government. So I knew, and I'm a builder, so I had plans of my design, what I had to do, what I wanted to do. I was able to articulate that not only on paper, but through the financial records. So the process was not new and foreign. We did our own, and most other applicants paid between $150,000 to $250,000 to get their applications done, plus giving up 10% of their business for a 10-year period.
Yeah.
And we did it ourselves.
Yeah, I've heard about those kinds of consulting arrangements. It is a steep price to pay for sure.
Yeah.
So tell us more about your dispensary and what makes it unique.
Well, I say locals. I have been in a tourist kind of business before. I was in the prepaid phone card business as well. Great business. But I learned when those planes hit the tower in New York, and I remember being on the treadmill saying, man, I'm so sorry for what's happening in New York, never understanding that it was going to affect Las Vegas.
Right.
And I mean, for a year, our business was in the tank. So I built this business based on locals and based on the epidemic that we're going through right now, pandemic. I'm glad I did. Even though our business is a lot slower, the business isn't a dead business. We elected to stay open, and I got into a big fight with the governor and still am in a fight with him because I think they were wrong for closing all the dispensaries when he said that they were essential and people need their marijuana, their medicine, and be it for recreation or otherwise, but they need that, and to close or force everybody to have delivery. And when they say we're all in this together, I argue We can't possibly be in it all together. If you're going to make poor people, senior people, homeless people have to have product delivered to them, it costs them $10, in which we charge, and we didn't even deliver. We had to learn to deliver in one day.
Right.
Because of what the governor did.
Yeah.
Then now people have to choose to spend $50 or $60 either on marijuana or marijuana products and or to eat.
Yeah.
And that's not right. And I continue to say that you know, if the people that violated, and there were two, then the governor should have penalized those two and left the other businesses open who were following the rules.
I agree with you on that one.
But he didn't. But our business is built on locals. We're glad to be back open. But again, we're putting the people first, and we have a foyer and we have like a bank window, and we aren't allowing people within the dispensary unless we just have an overflow. We have another window to operate from. But we believe until there's more testing done, until we know more about what is happening, that we have to have the customer's best interest and the employees' best interest in heart. I'm just thankful that people can still come, get their medicine, order online. They're in and out without a worry. And until this passes, and hopefully it will soon, we can get back to normal. But if not, we don't want to be a reason that somebody gets sick or an employee gets sick or get COVID because of something that we had to do with.
Definitely. So it sounds like you're taking a lot of precautions to keep your team safe and your customers safe.
Correct.
Yeah, and you've mentioned several times the need for people to have access to their medicine. And one of the things that I find when I tell people that I work in the cannabis industry is that many people are really curious about the medicinal benefits of cannabis, but they just have no idea where to start. They don't know anything about it. They're intimidated by the idea of walking into a dispensary when there's so many options and they don't know what they're looking for. So for any listeners out there who are in this boat, what advice do you have for them?
I would say go to a dispensary where they have knowledgeable consultants, because as exactly what you just said, if I don't know and I walk into somewhere, and what we try to pride ourselves on is welcoming every customer. Welcome to Nevada Wellness Center, where we specialize in patient care. Gotcha. People feel warm and accepted. And then they can say, okay, so our consultants ask 4 or 5 questions before they even start. Do you have any? Are you on any medicine? Are you a local? Where are you from? Is this your first time here? What are you looking for? Do you have pain? Because that opens the door to the conversation. Our goal is to give the customer what they need, what they think they need, but if we don't have an understanding, you can try to sell them anything. It's not about sales. So we have 3 kinds of customers, I say. The one customer that comes in and say, I only got so much money, what can I buy? Then you got the second customer who comes in and say, I got all the money in the world. Give me a little bit of everything. You got the third customer that says, I got to work every day for a living. I got pain. Can you help me? But I can't get high because I might get drug tested, and I cannot afford to lose my job. Yeah. And that's the customer. We take great pride in, as we say, being the largest CBD store in Nevada and serving more CBD products to the customer that are health-related products, so that if you've got back pain, and people don't understand, well, what is the difference between CBD and THC? Mm-hmm. And I'd like to say it's the male and the female. So you can't have one without the other, but if you got them both together, they work best. Absolutely. So a one-to-one, which means a little bit of CBD and a little bit of THC, helps the head and helps the body. CBD is for inflammation. It's a body, we say a body high, but it means a body relief. And THC gives you a head high, which means pushes the pain to the back. But you take them both together if you can. If you cannot, then we highly recommend the CBD. And we have numerous products for them to choose from, and we have a consultant that will take her time to make sure that we understand whether it's something that's on the skin level or something that's in the bone or something that's within the muscle. And we explain to them the process. You have to get the CBD in your system for a while. So just don't think because it worked for Johnny overnight, it may take 15 to 20 to 30 days for you. every individual is different.
Absolutely.
But we set up a regimen, and the most proper way, and I think I learned this from you, Stephanie, is to do both. We want topical, and then we want internal.
Yes.
That's right.
That is the most effective way for sure. And if you're using products topically, i.e. on your skin, unless you're pouring it into an open wound, you will not only not get high, but it will not show up on a drug test because it is not breaking that barrier to get into your blood. So you can use THC on your skin and you won't get high.
Really?
Yeah. And in fact, the 1-to-1 ratio that Ben was talking about is the best ratio for pain relief on your skin, bar none.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking about that last show, we were talking about the 1-to-1.
Yeah.
That was a great one.
Yeah, it's one of our chemist's favorites as well. Speaking of favorites, Frank, what are your favorite THC production products, either from our Experience Premium Cannabis brand or our OMG THC brand?
So I take a tincture, which is a liquid, a dropper, through a dropper, if people don't understand, and I take a 1-to-1 every day.
Excellent.
Every single day.
No pain.
Because it helps reduce the inflammation within the body and relieve the pain. Now, the other thing that I take the golden milk.
Oh, I love
Take that in the evening. And when customers come and I talk to them, I'm a witness because I have pain from old football injuries and from getting old. But I'm able to talk to them about what I know, not about what I think or what I heard, about my experience and what works for me.
Yeah.
And people get excited. And both of those products are sold by your guys' company.
Yes.
And we are glad that we have it in the dispensary. And we have a hard time keeping it on our shelves, and that's not your fault. That's my fault. And I'll admit that on the air.
Okay, I got a commitment for more.
We got that.
And besides, I mean, obviously that makes me so happy to hear because we pride ourselves on producing really good quality products that make a difference for people. And I'm sure, obviously, you've tried tons of different things. What are some of your other go-tos apart from the products that we make?
I use a pain balm that's a rub, and then we have another a Told You brand that we started that's another rub on that works fantastically on pain in the lower back, pain in the hip or hip flexor, or just muscle pain. But so I'm hooked on the golden milk and the 1-to-1. But as far as the topical, I use the Remedy Pain Balm and the Told You Roll-On.
Excellent. And you're the person who brought Ben and I...
I want a jar of that Told You Roll-On. I want some of that. Told you.
Yeah. You're actually the person who connected Ben and me. You connected THC Production
Brought
with
us together.
Soul D'licious, yeah.
Took me right over to your office.
Yeah, I remember the first time you did. And I mean, what got you so excited about the prospect of infused seasonings that you dragged Ben over to our lab one day and said, you guys have to meet?
So a couple things. I saw an opportunity for Ben to expand his brand into a marketplace where there aren't very many African-American males in. So an opportunity because there is a need for his product, be it if they put it on after they cook or before they cook or sprinkle it on while they're eating, be it popcorn, chicken, spaghetti, you name it, there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I could think of nobody that I could pair him with that I thought would treat him fairly, not take advantage of him, than your company. And
she's been
I was hoping that when I brought you guys together, that it would work from a relationship standpoint, speaking first, and then build on the business. And I'm just glad to know that almost a year and a half later, that this, whether you guys are both billionaires and I'm still some poor guy looking to borrow about $2, that that we did something good and we helped make something happen that is needed in this industry and will become a household name And just think, three people here in Las Vegas, Nevada, helped create that just because of the three personalities. People like people, people want to help people, and people want to help each other's business grow.
Well, Frank,
and that's what it's all about, and that's what I see as the opportunity to continue to do in this industry.
Well, Frank, I personally, on air, want to thank you for introducing me to Stephanie and leading me towards the whole process of becoming infused with the state. You told me, you said, you pointed me towards taxation. You told me to go find out what I can do to get in. And I worked on it. And then when you introduced me to Stephanie, and man, it was like ever since then I go down there and she taught me a lot of things that you felt that, she would probably teach me. And I've been listening to her. Her personality is what you felt it was going to be. And I totally, 100%, man, appreciate you, your dispensary, you as a friend, you as a person, period, man, because you do a lot of good things for a lot of people, man, and you got a mentor program with a lot of young men that you get out there and stuff. And I appreciate you, man, for even giving me the opportunity, man, to even look my way just to sit up here and think that I can actually do what I'm doing. And I even invented this radio show just to talk to you.
The road isn't easy.
Yeah.
And there are going to be more barriers thrown up as, you start the business to growing and start making some money. And just remember, we can never quit.
Yeah,
we can never give up.
Nope.
We can never even let the negative energy enter the process.
Yeah.
Keep trugging, keep pushing, keep pulling. No matter who you have to call, do that because you have a good product, you have a good team partner, and there's no doubt in my mind, when you're ready, you're going to have it in my dispensary and everybody else's dispensary.
Well, that's where it's going first.
And I'm happy
your
for everybody.
Dispensary. No, it's going to your dispensary exclusively for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
We're going to make sure of that. That's going to be done.
So I just want the radio people to know he used to say a couple months. Now he's down to a couple weeks.
No, that's
Pretty
Stephanie.
soon it's going to be a couple days.
Yeah.
I gave it to Stephanie to make that type of arrangement.
Yeah, we're just
Ask the
waiting
book.
on one final state approval that should have come in April. So,
Yeah.
so we're really hoping that they're close to giving us the final green light, and then it
we
will be
can just
coming.
run.
Yeah, will be coming to your shelves, and yeah, we're thrilled about it. I mean, no one in the country is doing anything like this, and the ability
Makes
to
everything
make
an edible.
yeah, exactly. Anything
Everything.
can be an edible.
That's right.
And especially, for people that are using this product for health reasons, most of the edibles out there, including our own brand, they're sweet, they're sugar-based. Yeah, we do make a sugar-free product, but the idea that you can make savory and you can take fruit or vegetables or proteins and you can turn it into medicine, that's just game-changing.
Yeah, that CBD thing we're going to do is going to be a big game changer. I'm going to call you up again, Frank.
Yeah. So, in terms of the broader industry, what you mentioned, I mean, every step of the way, you encounter problems and you got to eat them like Wheaties. But what are some of the things that you love about this industry?
I just love getting up every day because you don't know what's going to happen. It's a new industry. It's a growing industry. I said I was going to make a reality show because the people that come here and the people that work for me, and I've been in business all my adult life, never have I experienced the camaraderie other than football. But every day there's something internally or with the customer. The unfortunate part of that now, the business, because it's somewhat new, is that it appears to me to most other people in the business, and because it's not regulated, or I should say it's overly regulated, not federally legal,
Yes.
and still regulated. The level of sophistication, even with the public companies being in the business, leaves a little to be desired. The thing I don't like about the business is I've seen the business start in 15 with all local people, and now it appears that the majority of the local people have been pushed out, and they're bringing in the foreign investment companies, the public companies, and they're all about trying to make a dollar. And when it was a shiny business, Las Vegas was, going to be the new Mecca. I think that's tarnished a little bit. But I don't like the fact that so many people either got pushed out or removed, and to bring in somebody from outside who doesn't understand the local market.
Yeah.
So if I got one thing that I'd like to say to those, we need to make sure the local Nevadans, the local people are working in these businesses. Stop bringing people from outside of the state and outside of the country to run the local business.
Yeah. I mean,
I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah, we're a company of local people ourselves, so we get that.
Yes.
I would love to ask you one question that was overlooked. For the last 5 years that you've been in business over there at Nevada Wellness Center, can you tell us in a brief statement, because we have about 2 minutes left, but could you tell us in a brief statement the overall feeling of being in that business for the time that when you started? I remember you went through some difficulties, and then when they opened up the recreational, you was telling me that it changed up. Could you throw that in there so you can let the people know how happy you are about the changes?
Sure. We were medical, and we got in the business because of Andre's mother, who was in the fire. And then I did not support recreational marijuana personally, and I advocated against it because I thought the market would change and there would be no additional minorities, African American, black people in the business, which turned out to be exactly true what I said.
Yeah.
And the recreation has been good for the government because they get 21.375% tax, and federally it's illegal, so you don't get to write off I shouldn't say any. 80% of a normal write-off you would get in any business, you cannot take in a marijuana dispensary business. So basically, we were a pass-through to the governments to continue to fund schools, which I understand they haven't funded in Nevada.
Right.
And people talk about the federal government passing. I don't think the federal government will pass either legislation that will mitigate 280E, which is the part of the federal law that prohibits marijuana dispensaries from taking business write-offs.
Yeah, I feel your pain. It's possible to lose money in this industry and still have to pay taxes, federal income taxes, as though you made a lot of money.
Yeah, well.
I'm a witness.
And unfortunately, we're running out of time. So for listeners who are interested in finding out more about Nevada Wellness Center and the products you have in stock, can you tell us your website address and what social media handle you use?
Sure. So Nevada Wellness Centers with an S.com. Nevada Wellness Centers.com. And then we're at NWC on all the social media. You can find us on Facebook and everywhere else.
Okay, great. Excellent. And for those who would like additional information on Soul D'licious, Soul D'licious can be reached at 702-472-3577. You'll be talking to Kim. Also, squareup.com/store/Soul D'licious. That's SOULDLICIOUS. The contact information for THC Production can be found on our website, thcproduction.com.
Well, Frank, we are happy that we had you in.
Yes, thank you.
Man, that was beautiful. I love it, man. We're going to bring you back, too. We're going to bring you back. So
Absolutely.
Right during the time we get ready to do that launch, we're going to bring you back. This
Yes.
is a show going to be on for the next 10 years. So that's all we have for the time today. So thank you for listening, and tune in next week.
We will be interviewing Joe La Pluma from Taproot, which is another cannabis extraction company. But we will actually be having a discussion about all the different types of cannabis extracts. You know, what are the different ways you can extract? What are the pros? What are the cons from a consumer's perspective? As well as sort of a primer. You know, you go and you see butter, batter, crumble, shatter, live resin. What the heck is all of this? And how do you use it? So we'll be discussing all of that and more next week.
Well, thanks, Frank, for coming on, man. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you.
Yes. Have a good day.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. Bye now.
Bye.
You have been listening to a paid program sponsored by Soul D'licious. Please be advised that the voices and opinions you've heard do not necessarily represent the views of KUNV Las Vegas, the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, or the Board of Regents of the Nevada System of Higher Education.